excited to be here to do
My
this.
name is Laura Foster.
Guitar player extraordinaire slash resident fun guy at Northside Baptist.
Quinn. I'm actually Charlie's cousin.
Will Baker. Eddie.
James Blanton. I'm a junior at Lowndes High School.
Peterson. I'm a student at Lowndes High School.
All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad to have you on today. If you could just introduce yourself and we'll just keep on going.
All right. Hey, guys. My name is Caleb Thomas. I am Josh Thomas's little brother. He was on this podcast a little bit earlier. I am a nursing student.
Yeah, man. So when it comes to your testimony, how did you come to Christ, man?
I was in church my whole life with my parents, born and raised in church there every Sunday, Wednesday, but I never really cared too much about it, didn't pay any attention. We moved off away from here in Valdosta at Northside over to Albany, and I cared even less.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
But we came back for little youth
Little
camp.
events and things like that?
Yeah, at the Power Life camp that Rick Quorum does.
Uh-huh.
And the first speaker immediately went, his sermon was about the fake Christian. And I'd prayed that morning that, God, if you're real, you're going to call me out of my sin, you're going to call me out of what I've been doing. And that was very eye-opening.
Right.
And
Well, how can it not be, right?
It was exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I got to switch up everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is for real. This isn't just a joke anymore. I've got to give my life to Christ and change what I've been doing.
Yeah. And I know I didn't put any questions in here about it, but when it comes to, being a nursing student and all that, how have you seen God work through that? Has there been any particular moments it's just like, oh wow, just amaze you in any way?
Yeah, so I'm starting in January, and there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, purchasing books, all of the scrubs, the tote bags, everything, and it's a lot of money.
Right.
So sitting there looking at my bank account every now and again and going, oh, I'm not going to be able to buy
Am I going to afford that? Yeah.
And just somehow, some way, the money always ends up being there, and it's always in surplus of what I need is a huge thing.
Yeah, and that's the same thing for with people coming on the podcast. Sometimes I've said that in the 1 year. I was like, there was one time I was about to panic. I was like, who am I going to have on? And God just always provides for that, because sometimes I'm like, I gotta think, and God always brings somebody to mind. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't talk to them, or I want to talk to them about it. And so I totally understand that, panicking about something, and then God just provides for it. Yeah. But when it comes to, I know that you've served alongside, during the summer and when you can, served alongside Eddie and the other pastors and staff. What has that experience been like for you?
It's been a super awesome experience. Yeah. It's always fun to get to serve along with those guys, because they're really good, funny guys.
Oh yeah,
so it's always a good time.
It's never ever boring, and I'll say this much: you don't know what you're gonna do. I've realized that, because technically Noah, he was just kind of joking around. He's like, your title is, while you're up here, is the youth media specialist intern. Yeah, okay, that was my title. Right. Yeah, but, what else did we do? We cleaned out closets, got water runs from Sam's, I poured out dirty water bottles, You don't know what you're going to do, but, it's some of that, it's weird, because, if I did that stuff at home, I'd be like, eh. But it's at Northside, so I'm like, I know I'm, I don't know, I guess there's just, that oomph behind it. I don't know what you'd call it, but you're like, I don't mind doing it, sure, Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. My mom's probably been thinking to myself, well, just think your house is Northside. It's not that easy. But yeah, I don't, you probably feel the same way, but it's just I don't know, there's just something about it. If you're doing something up here, it just feels different, right?
It does. It always feels a little more meaningful.
Yeah.
I guess, because like you said, doing stuff at home, I'm like, I just
don't want to do it.
I don't want to do this. This isn't fun.
Yeah.
But doing it here, especially with helping with Eddie and Kids Church, even just setting up chairs. Yeah. It's like, okay, this is for church tonight. This is for church in the morning. This has purpose.
And for me, I get to see that, or at least during the summer, and even now, I get to see that every Sunday, because I still do the Next at Northside cards and stuff. And it's I see it in people's hands or looking at it, whatever. And I'm like, well, look at that. God's showing me that, what I'm doing has a purpose. Whether, if one person looks at it, hey, I might be the only one that looks at them. I don't know. Because I grab them now because I make them. But, it doesn't matter. Like, there might be somebody that's like, they didn't catch the point that was on the screen, or they get to see what, was said on the paper because it's right in front of them. So it's just small stuff like that, and I know I've helped Eddie a few times, and oh my gosh, he's always a joy to help. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and, he's so funny. Like, I know you mentioned it, but he is hilarious. And also his energy, too. Like, when he came on the podcast, it was like, man, for like, I think we did it around this time, too. It's like, for it being almost like it's about to be dark outside, you've got so much energy right now.
Yeah.
Give me some of that.
Always,
man. I don't know, like, he's probably still like, he's probably got like a little guy running his head, like, while he's sleeping. Like, he's got so much energy, but I love it. Yeah. And that's the type of person you really need in a children's pastor, is somebody with a lot of energy, because they have a lot of energy. And sometimes I've looked at them and I went, give me your energy. I need it.
Yes.
Yeah. But, so how does it feel that you're engaged, man? I gotta know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Is the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
It's super exciting. It's one of those things that you kind of sit there and look at it and you're like, okay, like this is
a real thing.
This is for real. This is serious.
Yeah.
And it's special. I'm through the roof. I just can't wait for the future.
Well, I know, and we were talking about it, beforehand. I think a lot of people were like, and if you didn't know you real well, it's just like, well, when did this happen? We missed some stuff, like, because it was just, we saw the post, and but I know that was like really, really special. I was like, oh, I know, like, because I know that week you got engaged, and then Josh came back, and I was like, my gosh, their mom is just like on cloud nine.
Yeah.
Like, and so, yeah, that was really special just to see. And I was like, let's go. Another person I know from Northside's getting married.
Yep.
But, like, and I'm sure I haven't, but I was just thinking about it. Like, I wonder, because I know I've heard some stories of it. I wonder if, like, have you caught any flack for you being so young? Like, because you both are very young, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's like, if they're mature enough, if they know what they're doing, like, and if the guy can provide for her, then, what's the issue? Yeah. What is the issue? Like, and plus it's their life, like, it's not yours,
right?
So chill out, right? And so, and when it comes to that, what are some things that people want to consider when they think about looking for, like, a relationship, dating, marriage, whatever? Like, what's some things you considered, like?
I think the first thing that you've got to consider is, like, you're trying to find the person that you want to be with for the rest of your life.
Right.
So you've got to look at somebody that is your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to enjoy being around them the whole time. It can't just be an attraction-based thing, because attraction will run out.
Yep.
But just looking for somebody that's just your best friend, you just love being around them. You can mess with them, pick on them, they do the same thing.
Like,
and it's just all fun.
Yeah.
So just find somebody that you just have that just pure friendship with.
And I'd say in this day and age, that seems like to be less and less of a thing. Like, I'm not, like, I won't say names or nothing, but I've heard people, like, from Lowndes, like, stories like, oh yeah, I went out with this guy, then we broke up, and then I went out with her, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and this was like in the span of like 3 weeks. There's 3 different people involved with this person. I'm like, I'm not trying to judge you, but it's just like, what's going on, like,
Right.
And so, like, that's a rare. Honestly, so you've been together for what you said, 3 years,
three and a half years. Yep.
And that, honestly, that's good. Like, like I said in the state, that is steady, and that is awesome to hear, because you don't hear it very often. Like, another thing it just made me think of when you don't hear it very often is, like, when people, they tell me all the time, like, oh, my story's nothing special, right? Like, in terms of, like, testimony stuff. I'm sure you've heard that too. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I've just went to church all my life. Like, you're just like, do you realize people want to hear that? It's like, because, like, so many people are like, oh, they don't go to church anymore. The youth is, like, off the rails, blah, 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 blah. Like, but people want to hear that stuff, and they want to hear that, there's still people that are having stable relationships out there. Even if, and also it'll give people hope as well. If they're like, right, man, I've been through, I don't know how many relationships, whatever, and mine just not work. There's hope. Just pray about it and ask God to put that person in your life. Now, who knows? He might have put the person in your life and you messed up. I don't know. I'm joking, but, you never know. But He'll put that person in your life at the right time, and I think you can contest to that. Yeah.
100%.
100%. So when you look at the youth today, right, there's tons of stuff that challenges them, whether it be relationships or anything like that or anything else. When you look at the youth, do you see hope, or are you worried about the future?
Kind of a bit of both.
I
know mainly what you see is online through social media, and what you see through social media is completely hopeless.
Yeah.
It's just dark and lost, but especially being here with the youth how it is, we've got Noah as a youth pastor. He's fantastic. There's a lot of hope here especially, and I think there's a lot of people that want to be able to get out and make a difference. So it's hopeless, but there's also hope at the same time, because even in all the darkness, there's people that still do want to try to make a difference, whether they can or not.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt like with, because every time I've asked the question, I've always said for me, it's kind of 50-50, because like you go to Northside, you see all these amazing youth and college kids, and they're like wanting to make a difference for the Lord and like what they can do for other people, and then you go to like different schools, colleges, high schools, things like that, and you're like, oh boy,
there's no hope.
get these people into FCA and get these people into a church right now. And I'll tell you, like this year, I don't know, I guess just like he's put something in me. It's like I've been trying to be more open about it, and people have asked me questions. I was getting questions for that 1 year from students. And they've still asked me some questions, that definitely challenge me for sure, because they're not going to throw the easy stuff at you. Like, no. And I don't know, everything, but I'll usually try to, research it and all that. Well, but it's been so cool. Like, at least, hey, I'm just glad they'll come to me for it, because they know. But, man, they're challenging. I'm sure you've experienced that. They're very, very challenging, like, for sure. And I'm like, my gosh, well, I'm going to have to, do 5 pages of reading just to figure out what that is, because that will stop you in your tracks, and that's one thing. The reason why I'm bringing this up is just because for sure, like for any, underclassmen or anybody like that, you're gonna experience that at some point in your life, especially in today's time, and I know you have, because there's no way if you say that you're a Christian, you're gonna get asked questions.
You can't avoid it.
But not all the time, but it's gonna happen. Even in a school of 3,000 people still ask me stuff, sometimes I can answer it, and you answer it truthfully, but they just won't reciprocate it. They're just like, what? I'm like, but I explained it to you, and I explained it, I thought, pretty well, so, and that's one thing I've had to kind of learn the hard way, is like, not everybody's gonna get what you're saying. Of course, because you try to explain it to them the best way you can, but they're not going to understand it. And I'm like, and it does break my heart though, because like some people, they've said, oh, I know I'm going to hell, and I'm like, you don't have to though. You don't have to. And I've told them what you got to do, but they just won't listen. And I know we've all experienced that at some point. If you're a Christian, you've experienced that. But definitely, I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, maybe the reason why there's like, for me, because in the past years, there hasn't been this much of a push, like to talk to people or whatever, at least, for me. And then all of a sudden, it's happening more and more. And I'm like, maybe it's because I'm a senior. God's like, this is your last push to operate in this, operate in this mission field. So you better do it while you still have the chance. And that's actually going to be the theme of an FCA morning, because I'll be doing a podcast episode in there. It's going to be with Rachel Black. Do you know this? Yeah. We're I'm going to interview her and like interweave her story with the theme of one last push. And so we'll be encouraging the seniors to go off into their new mission field, while encouraging the other grades to help us out and fill in the gaps where we missed. Because there's 3,000 gaps is a lot of, there's a lot of places that we probably could have went we didn't go to. Like even in your classes, there's some classes I don't have, but another Christian may have, that they can talk to somebody else. And that's just like, I hope it's going to encourage people. I hope so. I'm gonna like, I've got a while to think about it though, like all the way to May 2nd.
Oh yeah, that's a long time.
They schedule them out pretty far, and I was like, May 2nd, good Lord, how far do you got it out? And they're like, all the way to the end of the year, and I'm like, good grief. That's a lot of people to schedule. And I was like, I thought I scheduled people good. No, FCA's got it down. So, young people, we face a lot of challenges in this world, especially with like social media you brought up earlier, things like that. What advice would you give to somebody if they said, Caleb, I am struggling to navigate this world in a biblical way? What would you tell them right then and there?
Big thing is finding somebody to help you navigate the world, because one of the big things in the Christian faith is that when you start out, you're a baby, and babies can't function on their own. They've got to have somebody to help them.
Right.
So if you know that you can't do it and you know you need to help, you got to go to somebody who's mature enough in their faith to help you, and you've got to be willing to let down your pride and say, I don't know everything, I don't know what I'm doing, I need your help, which is a big thing for everybody because pride's a huge thing. It's hard to put down, but just putting that down and finding somebody. And then another big thing is just don't pay attention to the world. It's broken, it's messed up, it's there to challenge you. The devil's going to tempt you and test you at all times. So just don't listen to it. Don't pay any attention. And I know
it's harder to do.
It's easier said than done. But the more you work on it, the more you do it, you can kind of put those pieces together and just kind of block it off.
And I'll tell you one thing: if you're listening and you're at Northside, you've got plenty of people you can come and talk to.
Absolutely.
I know that if we had a problem, and we were, if we needed to go talk to Eddie or somebody, they'd be right there. Answer any questions. Because I definitely had to do that. Like I said recently, with all that I've been asked, I'm like, what? What are they talking about? Or it's like, because sometimes they'll say like, oh, but I thought this was in the Bible, and I'm like, I question. I'm like, are you sure about that? And I have to like clarify it, and I even had because I was just confused on it. Of course, like it was something simple. Like I had a shirt that said like 5 and 2, equals 5,000. Of course, feeding the 5,000, right? Well, like my teacher, he's a Christian. I know, which is cool because he has like posters about God and all of them in his room, and I'm like, thank the Lord that he can have this in his room. Because you don't. In today's age, some campuses are like, no, take it off the wall. But he was like, he told me something like, well, technically 5,000 is not correct. They only counted the men during that, and I was like, so I asked Noah, I was like, what, true? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure, like, I wasn't, like, doubting my teacher or nothing, but I was just like, if they say 5,000, then, but, it's stuff like that. But there's been even harder questions, like, and I've had to, like, really proof it. And I'm like, what? It's like, I'm like, and sometimes I just got to go smile and just, like,
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, let me circle back on that. Like, I don't, so I know we've all been there and done that because oh my gosh. So why do you think, especially young people? Well, I say young people, but any age does this at some not at some point, but has done it, or maybe I don't know how to phrase this. Maybe they haven't done it, but sometimes young people or just people in general, they often run away when they hear the name Jesus. Like they hear it and they're like, nope, don't want to hear it.
So I had some experience with this not too long ago. A guy I was talking to, he said that the reason he doesn't want to hear about Jesus, the reason he doesn't want to go to church, is because he knows he's doing wrong stuff. He knows what he's doing is completely disobedient, but he has a good time doing it, and he doesn't want to have to stop.
Doesn't want to give it up. Yeah.
He knows if he goes to Jesus, he's going to get called out of his sin, and he's going to stop it, and he doesn't want to. So I think, especially with our generation, the party scene and all of that, people just don't want to give that up. So it's not necessarily that they're, like, doubting who Jesus is. It's just that they don't want to do what God's called them to do.
And I've noticed, like, with talking to kids and all, they don't want to take, like, you can, send them the videos, you can tell them, but they don't want to take that next step and follow through. Like, I sent one of the debunked videos to a kid, that I knew, and I was like, because it was really, really good. Yeah. It was one of the ones that Carl played in the service, and I was like, I'm going to send this, but I don't even know, I'm assuming, because they didn't tell me they did, I'm assuming they did not look at it. I'm like, but the resources are right there, and it's way better than what I can explain it in like 2 to 3 minutes. Like, so, it'll grab your attention because it speaks so fast that I can't even keep up with it. And so it's stuff like that. Like, you can, it's like, you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. Like, absolutely. And, that's been an experience for me. Like, I've told, like, you can tell people all the time, like, this and that, but they just, I'm like, just I guess the stubbornness of me is like, come on.
You just want him to take it. It's like, I'm giving you everything you need.
Exactly.
Would you just take it and do it?
It's like, do I need to beat you over the head with my Bible?
Yeah.
Like, come on, And, one thing that has been nice, though, and, it's different for everybody, so I'm not saying just walk in there and expect this to happen, but at least my classmates, majority have been respectful about it, and they do hear me out. Now, a lot of times it's just like, come back with a rebuttal, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, you're making me go crazy, but majority of the time they have been, except, I've had like one or two, they just like to argue, and let me tell you, those people, I don't say you don't want to help them, because you do, but you don't want to waste your time on them either, because, if they just want to argue, it's not going to get you anywhere, or them anywhere, and I've learned that really quick. I was like, if there's people asking me questions, then I'm going to go to them instead of arguing with this person, because that's not, arguing in anything doesn't get you anywhere.
Just separates you even further.
Yeah, honestly. But that's all the questions I got. I know it was a shorter episode, but let's be honest, some people like to enjoy those shorter ones. They can just knock them out like that. Yeah. But I'm so glad that you're able to come on, and who knows, maybe we get to do it again. Maybe have both brothers on at the same time.
Maybe so. We'll see.
that'd be fun. I could see it now.
Yeah, that episode would definitely be different.
Yeah, man.
It'd be different.
But thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
and
thank you for having
I really
me,
enjoyed your answers, and I really enjoyed your time.
Appreciate it. You too, man.
Yep. With another episode of the Young Minds Podcast coming to a close, I just want to remind you that you are never alone and faith is action. So let's get out there.